morning and welcome to my kitchen. It is 2022, we are back and we have a whole year's worth of programs planned out for you. I cannot wait to share them. Now, January, everyone's been a little bit healthier. Everyone's thinking, oh, I overdid it at Christmas, I need new year, new start, all that stuff. So we thought this series, so this is 6 episodes of healthier eating, big flavours, lighter, crisp, delicious, lower in calories, but big on flavour. Now, today's recipe is a pesto pasta dish. So, big hit in my family. The kids love pesto, but I'm actually going to hide some of this in it. So what we're going to do is we're going to take our broccoli, we're going to half it. Half of that is going in the pesto, never to be seen again. The other half we're going to stir through, so they're going to get all of this into their dinner almost without them knowing. And if you can't, you know, if you're doing this for the kids and you think, oh, yeah, but they won't eat the broccoli stirred through, blend it all in there. Hide it. They'll never know. Right, so first of all, we're going to cook our broccoli, all right? Because it needs blanching really, and blanching means part cooking. So we're going to take our broccoli, and I'm just, can you see that all right, Emily? Emily's back with us. She's back from her Christmas break, refreshed, revitalised, counting her calories, weighing her food, bless her, aren't you?
Yep.
She won't taste anything until she's weighed it. She's very disciplined, aren't you?
Yeah.
Got a wedding, not a wedding dress,
yeah.
nearly said a wedding dress. Everyone's going to think you're getting married.
Not quite.
Not yet, she's available to the right man, aren't you? To the right man, I said. It's a bridesmaid dress, not a wedding dress, isn't it? Sorry, Emily, my bad.
Back to the broccoli.
My bad there, sorry. Right, okay, so break the broccoli up, cut it into stalks, into just little pieces, all right? Florets, they're called. Because we want to cook them quite quickly in salted boiling water. Same water we're going to cook the pasta in, all right?
What would tender stem broccoli, would it be the same?
Tender stem's fine and it's coming into season now soon. So yeah, tender stem's good. And you use a lot of the stalk on that.
Yeah.
Because a lot more of the stalk. But we're just using the normal broccoli today.
See, am I a bit weird in the fact that the stalk that you've just cut off?
Yeah.
Really nice, raw, sliced.
Yeah, a lot of people eat that. We used to give it to the guinea pig, but we lost the guinea pig last year, so we have a surplus of veg now.
I'll eat it.
Yeah, I'll throw it to Emily. Okay, so let's stick the high power on there. Right, I've cut all the broccoli into florets. I have got salted boiling water here, so we're going to cook the pasta in here as well as the broccoli. Broccoli first. Okay, so it's really important that you salt the water. It brings much more flavour and ultimately your dish will taste better, okay? But people's tolerance of salt is different. So, you know, do what you feel's right, but what I feel, seawater. That's salty for me, okay? Right, in with the broccoli. Are we in there, Emily? Can we see what's going on? Marvellous. Right, just while I'm going to give that like 3 or 4 minutes cooking, and then we're going to whip it into some ice cold water. So we'll just get that ready. Now, if you have any questions at all, make sure you post them in the comments below, and I will answer them as best I can. Right, got some ice here, and let's get some water in here. And the reason why we're using ice water is it will stop the cooking process really quickly. Which when you're dealing with green vegetables is important, otherwise they end up going a certain kind of khaki colour, and that's not good for anyone. So let's get that. Now while this is going on, let's get our pesto ready. Now for me, pesto is just the nicest pasta sauce, my favourite, the kids' favourite, Emma's favourite, so it's a big, big hit. Okay, so let me just move that one onto there and get a pan on the heat. Okay, now pine nuts, delicious. They are a bit pricey. So, you know, if you don't want to spend the money on pine nuts, use some cashew nuts there. Emily wants to get focused on that, don't you? See, I've got your back. If you don't want to spend the money, cashew nuts are much cheaper and do a similar job, to be honest. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to toast my pine nuts because it makes them nuttier and more delicious. I've got my olive oil here that I'm using for my pesto. So I'm just going to use a tiny little bit. You don't want to sort of fry them. You just want to toast them. It brings the flavour out big time. Okay? Broccoli's good.
So you've used broccoli. Is there any other vegetables that you can...
Yeah, you could. Do you know what? You could really easily hide spinach in your pesto. No problem. Asparagus is good. Any green vegetable really is really good for it, I think. You could do kale. I've seen that before. Kale's really, really high in iron, really good for you. Right, broccoli's done. See, look, it's still green. All right? It's like the Brussels sprouts of Christmas. Now, I hope some of you followed my Brussels sprout recipes at Christmas.
Oh, they were good.
Emily's now addicted to pickled grapes, aren't you?
Yeah.
So we've had a successful 2021 on the show, and we've got some great plans for you, some great recipes. Right, so broccoli is in the cold water, all right? I'm just going to add some more to that. And while that's happening, let's get on with the pasta. Now, pasta. 400 grams. They come in 500 gram packs. It's about 100 grams per person, per adult really. So we're going 400. So that to me looks like about 400. Right. Can you see them toasting there, Emily? Look, let me turn that off now because you see those, yeah? Got to watch the pine nuts because they toast quick. Right, spaghetti, 400 grams, give it a little twist like that, yeah? And then just drop it in the pan. You want space, you want a big pan for cooking pasta because it wants space to bounce around and cook. Right, so can we see these pine nuts all right, Emily?
Yeah.
Yeah, so you can see they've just got that little bit of toast. They don't all need to be that colour. Just toasting them up a bit so a few of them have got that lovely colour to them will just bring the flavour up, all right? And just really make sure that this pesto has a nutty flavour. Right, I've got 2 cloves of garlic we're going to pop into the food processor. Okay? We've got some pine nuts. I'm going to put about half the recipe of pine nuts and keep the rest to stir in at the end. Okay. Now I'm going to grab some of my broccoli. Okay, so we're going to use half in the pesto. Give it a little squeeze. Get rid of the excess water. We don't want the water, so give it a little squeeze. Oh, Thomas is going to be horrified when he knows that I've hidden half a head of broccoli in his pesto. Bless him. He'll never know. There we go. Now the rest can be stirred through it. All right? Because I'll get away with that much with him. Right. Give that pasta a little stir. So that pasta is going to need 9 minutes to cook to get it al dente. And there's been quite a lot of research out there on pasta. When it's cooked al dente, it's actually slower release energy than if you fully cook it. So, you know, believe what you... Yeah. The starches and things like that, it all seems to make a bit difference. And in the UK, we're really bad at cooking pasta. 9 minutes. The packets usually say 9 to 12, so we go 12. Go 9. Give it a little bit of bite. I think it's much nicer. Much nicer. Right. Okay, so In with our olive oil, extra virgin olive oil for a pesto. That's the bit we don't skimp on because it's really, really good. And then Parmesan cheese. Okay, so we're just going to grate it straight in. I'm using like a planer so I can grate it straight in. Saves on washing up. It's that combination of garlic, cheese, nuts that just make it delicious. And then the fragrance of the basil just makes all the difference. It really does. Okay, so stage one is we're now going to blend this. Okay, are we ready on this, Emily?
Yeah.
There we go. Right. Okay. Almost a little pesto-ish, isn't it? You wouldn't know there was half a head of broccoli in there, would you? Can you? Which one shall I?
Overhead.
Overhead, can you see that?
Yeah, it's really bright green, isn't
Really
it?
vibrant, and I think, you know,
It's quite
that's
an
going to
inviting colour, like for kids to...
It's what you want as well in January.
Yeah.
Because look, it's getting dark now.
I know.
Squeeze of lemon juice will help it stay green and vibrant and fresh, and it will balance out the richness of the cheese, the nuts, and the olive oil. Okay, so basil. Just my absolute favourite herb is basil. I love it. Gonna cut the stalks off because they're not as sort of sweet and tender. They tend to be a little bit bitter. And I think when you make homemade pesto, if you don't get rid of the stalks, you end up with a kind of bitterness to your pesto. And it's really disappointing because you've gone to all that effort. All right, so back on with the blender. In with our basil. Okay. And then the rest of the cheese, I didn't put it all in when it started. There we go. So you got any questions for me today, Emily?
Ooh.
No?
No.
Not yet, shall we say?
Easing my way back into the...
Easing yourself in. Is this the kind of thing you'd make at home?
Yeah, I think so actually.
Yeah?
It's quite like good like lunch as well, and
Yeah, you see pesto. My daughter loves pesto sandwiches. Pesto, parma ham, baby spinach. Good, really nice. Right, let's blend this. Now, if you find that there isn't enough olive oil and the basil's kind of not blending, you can add a little more oil, but do it very gently, very sparingly. I'm going to adjust the recipe if it needs it, all right? So I've done 200 mils of olive oil. So I'm just going to watch, and if I need a touch more, I'll add it. Just a tiny bit. That's it. Now it's gone. Look at that. Pesto. That's proper pesto. Smell that. Oh, it smells good. That is a lovely smell. Fresh, clean, vibrant.
I think it was broccoli in there.
No, you see? Look, if I pop that on there. Now, the key is, this is the point where you would season it. But remember, there's salt in that water. So if you salted your pasta water, you don't want to season this too much because you're going to end up with too much salt and you can never remove that salt. So have a taste now. So, I think a little bit of pepper in there and a little bit of salt, knowing what's to come. Okay? Give that a stir. And that is it. Let's put that to one side. Now, pasta is nearly ready. Okay? So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to lift that onto there. Now I'm going to put a nice shallow pan on here, Emily. Is that all right there? You see what's going on? Yeah? Right. I'm going to take a ladle of my pasta water. Can you see that? Yeah. And that is going in there. All right? That is full of starch, and really that helps make everything creamy, and it brings everything together, which is what you want. Okay? And then I'm going to add some tablespoons of pesto. 1, 2, 3, 4.
Wow, it's vibrant,
Isn't it just? It looks like it's going to be good for you and delicious.
It looks healthy.
Absolutely. And then broccoli, I'm going to cut into halves again and pop those in. The residual heat of everything is going to heat this dish up, okay? So you don't need to overcook it. And I think if you overcook vegetables, you lose all the value, all the nutritional value, all the freshness. You want it vibrant and green, okay? See, that's just enough broccoli to convince my son. He'll not know, bless him. So in that goes, there we go. And then we will grab some pasta. Okay, I lost my tongs, but I found them. So I always like to take my pasta out of the water and then into the pan, because I'm going to get some of that starch water as well, which is golden. It really is. Okay. You could pop it through a colander if you want to. It's entirely up to you, but this is the way I like to do it. All right. This is a good start to the new year, this recipe. Not sure I'm going to get Kerry Irving eating this, are you?
Possibly not.
No. Too much garlic in it, I think.
There's garlic in it.
Yeah. Okay, so give that a good stir. And then I'm going to finish it with a few more pine nuts as well, because that can only make it taste good. Right, let's grab a bowl. Nice pasta bowl here. And then I am going to serve this up. Okay. So let's give it a good stir. Make sure that residual heat has warmed the broccoli through. And then lift, twist. There we go. A few more pieces of broccoli in there. Can we see this all right, Emily?
Yeah.
Nice. Good. A few pine nuts, a little bit of pepper, and then finish it with a touch of Parmesan. And there you go. That is my beautiful fresh pesto pasta with hidden broccoli for extra nutritional value, topped off with a few pine nuts and a little extra Parmesan. Now, if you want the recipe, scan the QR code on the bottom. It'll take you to masterclass.co website. Find all our recipes there, and amongst others as well. And this is delicious. And for me, this is really, you know, like nice, tasty, healthy food, all right? It's green, it's vibrant, it's fresh, it's full of flavour, and it will make you feel good. So there you go. That is how I make a lovely, healthy alternative to pesto pasta with hidden broccoli in there, as well as extra as well. Now, if you want the recipe, go to masterclass.co website or scan the QR code on the bottom. You'll find all the information you need there. Thank you very much. Now it's time for the next recipe. Right, it's time for the next recipe. Blackened salmon tacos. Sounds good, doesn't it? Blackened salmon's like a sort of Cajun, deep South American style combo of flavours. And it's like a dry rub. And we're going to put it on salmon, which is a nice, rich, oily fish. Super good for you. Delicious. Great at taking on flavour. and are really nice to cook as a whole piece. So the family can just kind of tuck into it, make a taco, because let's be honest, wrapping anything up in these is a great way to eat. And then we're going to make a lovely fresh celeriac remoulade. Now celeriac is a pretty ugly vegetable. What do you think, Emily?
Yeah.
It's not a pretty one, is it?
You know.
And it's got the texture of potato, but the flavour of celery. And it's just really nice. And we're going to bind it up with some red onion, pickle it all in a bit of lemon juice, and then cover that with a tiny little bit of low-fat sour cream or 0% yogurt, whichever you prefer, and serve it up in the tacos. So, first thing we need to do is make the rub. So I'm going to blend mine in my pestle and mortar. Masterclass do a really good one. All right, let's just go through the dry flavours. So, onion granules. Bit of an old-fashioned ingredient, this, but really... Do you use these, Emily?
Yeah, I've noticed more in the healthier cooking side things. It's kind of quite a main
Good
ingredient.
for a savoury flavour. Now, I've got some dried garlic here. Normally, I would not use dried garlic. I don't like it much, but when you're doing a dry rub, it needs to be. So I've actually gone for the smoked dried garlic powder. You smell that. That's good. That is good. Thyme is very strong when it's dried, so we're just using a little bit. So if you want the recipe for this, scan the QR code on the bottom and that'll take you to masterclass.co's website and all the recipes are there, okay? But if you have any questions, post them in the comments below. I'm there to chat to you, here to help you cook some amazing food.
That is...
It's nice, isn't it?
Yeah.
Smoked dried garlic powder. It's really good. A little bit of cayenne pepper for warmth. Okay, and then last two ingredients. Smoked paprika. Love this stuff. And then got some oregano. Now, if you like a really good hit, you could always put more cayenne if you want, or you could put a bit of chili powder in as well. Now, salt will help as an abrasive, just to make sure that we grind this down. And if you like this, I would urge you to make more than you need, because it will pop straight into a little preserving jar and you've got it. All right, so we're just going to grind it, which will blend all the flavours together.
Could you use this for anything else, Pete? Like...
Do you know what's really nice on? Sweet potato wedges.
Ooh.
Really good.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, lots of it, you get blackened cod. You could do it on any oily fish, really would work well.
Is it just fish that it would work?
No, you could sprinkle it onto, do you know what would work really well on? Whole baked cauliflower.
Oh, yeah.
If you took a baked cauliflower and I would blanch it in boiling water for like 2 or 3 minutes just to open up the florets a little bit. And then I would oil it and sprinkle that on and roast the whole thing. If you had like if you wanted a veggie option, it's nice on chicken. Just a clean, quick, easy season if you want. So if you've got it in the cupboard, it's ready to go. Just quick season on, into the pan fry it, and you're off. Okay, so there we go. That's it, done. Right, so let's get our salmon. So I've got a 400-gram piece here. You could use portions if you want, absolutely fine, no problem at all. But I quite like cooking this salmon as a whole piece and then letting the family kind of tuck in, because I actually think it keeps more moist, richer, you know, more delicious when it's a whole piece. I find salmon can dry out quite quickly if you're not careful. So a little bit of olive oil on there, not too much because it's an oily fish, so it doesn't need loads. And then I'm just going to season this up. Can you see it all right, Emily?
Yeah.
Yeah? So cover it. It might seem a lot, but we're going to knock it off, you see. So cover the salmon in what you need. Keep the rest. Now, give it a little shake. And do you see how it's coming off? So you end up with a nice dusting, but it'll all come off. Ready to do the other side, like so. Okay? Now you could do this night before if you want, and it'll really take the flavour on. Okay? Lovely. Ready to go. let me wash my hands. My clean, lovely hands, apparently. Apparently I've got clean hands, not like other chefs. But there you go. Who knew? Right. So let's just clean my board because we're going to make our slaw in a minute. Now, I've got a non-stick pan on the heat there. It's just starting to get hot. Can we see the pan all right, Emily?
Yeah.
Good. Right. Drizzle of oil in the pan because we want to cook this fish. Now, when I bought this salmon, I'd expected it to have the skin on. And what I was going to do was cook it for 10 minutes on the skin side down. Turn it over, switch the heat off, pull the skin away so that all the natural oils that sit under the skin are there. Because I really like them. I think they're delicious. They make it lovely and rich and yummy. But when I got the packet open, I didn't have skin on it, so I'm doing it without. So this is the pink side. So we're going to cook that on that side first. Okay? So we're on a medium heat. We're on 4 out of 9 on the heat gauge there. Doesn't really need a lot doing to it now. I need to leave it and let it cook and let it blacken. That doesn't mean burn. It just means a really nice dark crust on it, okay? The spices will help you get the crust. Right. What I'm going to do is just sprinkle the tiniest little bit of sugar on there as well. Like literally half a teaspoon, not much at all. All right? Right, while that's going, let's do red onion first. So my red onion is peeled. I'm going to cut it in half. Okay, I'm using my edge keeper knife here. This is the 20cm cook's knife. It's like the workhorse of the kitchen. Okay, it will always be there. It'll do so many different jobs for you. If you're in the market for a new knife, get a 20cm cook's knife and get a little paring knife, and that will keep you going. Go for the edge keeper. They're brilliant. Keep your knives really sharp. So, slice your red onion as thinly as you can. Because we're eating this raw, we want it thinly sliced because we're going to pickle it in a bit of lemon juice for that nice bit of acidity, that extra hit of vitamin C that we're all kind of craving at this time of year. There we go. So there's one. So Emily, we've planned all our new series. We've got 6 series of 6 episodes this year for you. And this is like the healthier, light, fresh series. What are we doing next? We're cooking with the kids in series 2.
Kids next.
Looking forward to that one, aren't we? And then by then it will be sort of getting close to barbecue season, won't it? A bit summer eating, May and June. We're going to do lots of great kind of summertime eating with your friends in the garden, that sort of thing. Got some great ideas. What else are we doing?
We've got baking.
Yeah, we're going to do a baking series this year.
Yeah, we've got comfort.
Yeah.
And we've got Christmas.
Wow. And then it'll be 2023 before you know it. Blimey. So we've got loads of episodes for you. And we're also going to film the odd little bit and bob here, like the odd recipe that if we've created an amazing recipe, we want to share it with you. We're just going to make that program and go live for you. So please, if you are enjoying it, like it, share it with your friends and family. We had a fantastic 2021, really grew the audience, brought in some great friends, and their audiences joined us as well. So we're really hoping that 2022 continues on that note, and we can grow our audience all over the world, really get to know you. You get to know us with our recipes, and cook some fabulous food. Right, onions to one side. Now, the poor old ugly celeriac. It tastes amazing. It's worth the effort, all right? So, I'm going to cut the top off, and then I'm going to cut the bottom off. So we've got a nice sort of safe working starting point, okay? Nudge that up a little bit. So now that it's going to sit flat on the chopping board, I'm going to put my knife flat like that and I'm going to cut round, all right? So round, a bit like you were doing, if you were peeling a melon, it would be the same process, or peeling an orange before you segment it. All right, so we want to get rid of the skin. It's not a thick skin, but you want to get rid of it really. Do you cook celeriac, Emily?
No, it's not something that we would eat, but
no.
I think it's like you're seeing things like this to be able to actually be a good thing to use.
So, it's quite easy to peel really. I mean, they do look a bit daunting in the supermarket and you think, what am I going to do with that? But once you've seen it and tasted it, you'll be like, right, what can I do with it next? Okay, so we're going to make some really thin slices. Okay? So this is almost like a slaw really, like a coleslaw. So instead of cabbage, we're using celeriac. Okay? Really good for you. Raw vegetables are super good for you. Loads of micronutrients. Wherever you can eat raw vegetables, it's good for you to do so. I don't really like just sitting, you eat raw vegetables, don't you, at your desk?
Yeah.
I can't do that. But what I can do is eat raw with cooked and I find it really, really tasty. You get a nice crisp contrast, rich, clean. I like that kind of eating. But yeah, that whole raw crunching is a step too far for me.
Oh yeah, carrots,
I know you love
celery,
it, don't you?
Peppers.
The lot.
Any vegetable.
Between you and the dog.
Yeah.
Right.
We share our box of veggies.
Yeah. Pip likes to share everything with everyone. Okay, so I think for the sake of what we're doing now, that's probably enough. Now, if you've got any left, dice it all up with a bit of smoked bacon, some pasta, some Parmesan, a little bit of the cooking water, starch water from the pasta, makes a delicious, quick pasta dish. So there's always things that you can be doing with celeriac. Great in soups. The thick, rich starchiness of a root vegetable makes that amazing soup. So there's always things that you can do with it, so don't worry. I'm sure we'll be using it again this year on our programs. So, pile them all back up. Can we see that all right?
Yeah.
And then curl your fingers back, right? So it's like that. Imagine you're playing a piano, bit of Elton John, yeah? That kind of style. Boom, like that. And then use your knife and push it. So I start there and I finish over there. Okay, so it's not an up and down motion, it's a push forward. Nice tiny little matchsticks, because it just eats better when it's chopped thinner, okay?
What other fruit and veg do you like to use raw?
I like fennel raw, really like fennel raw. Carrots work really well. Cavallonero is nice, the Italian black cabbage, that works well. But you've just got to shred it super fine.
Yeah.
I find white cabbage, I'm not really a massive fan of white cabbage. I don't know, I like that sort of lighter flavour on the raw. It's the crisp crunch that I like with this, compared to the richness of the oily salmon. So like if you were doing, I don't know, like pulled pork in the summer on a barbecue, this works really well instead of coleslaw. It's just a little crisper, a little cleaner, a little fresher. Okay, so we're nearly there. And you're surprised quite how much, once you chop it all up, how much you make. So it works really well. There we go. Right. Just pop that to one side. Now I've got a couple of lemons. Let's cut those in half and then grab our onions. Now I'm going to juice the lemons straight over the onion and this will pickle it. Now if you haven't got lemons, Use a little bit of white wine vinegar, that would work as well. I mean, you don't get the same flavour, but you get the acidity, which is kind of what we're looking for. We're looking to take the edge off the red onions and the celeriac, and just that lightest of pickle, not heavy pickle at all. So last lemon. There we go. Right. Now, before we put the celeriac in, just get your hands in and squeeze the red onions, and it kind of breaks the excuse me, kind of breaks the chambers down and allows the red onions just to pickle a little. And then we can add the celeriac. So we'll just drop that in, break it up as we do it, so that we know everything is chopped. There, you see, a little piece got me back. Got through the quality assurance audit. So let's run my knife back through that bit. There we go. Right. So we can mix this together now and just lift it up and just sort of sprinkle it. And that will just get those pickled red onions running evenly through the celeriac, okay? I've actually done this with raw butternut squash as well.
Oh, really?
Which was quite nice, yeah. That sort of sweetness that you get from, I mean, it's different, but it can be done at, you know, at different times of year, because obviously squash are very kind of autumnal, you know, squashes and pumpkins and things like that. I quite like pickled squash. I've done that before. It just gives a real sort of that sweet and sour kind of acidity to it. It's nice. Right, I'm going to wash my hands. But you'll notice, as we've been cooking in real time, there's no edit done on this. It's all real time. The salmon, I haven't touched it. I've just left it to cook. Can you see it cooking there, Emily?
Yeah.
Yeah? It's not doing anything, you know, it's not worrying me. It's just sat there nicely doing its thing. The oils are just starting to come out. I'm going to turn it over in a minute, but not yet. Okay, so let's get our slaw, a little bit of seasoning in there, a bit of salt and a little bit of pepper, not too much. And then I'm just going to get a little bit of sour cream. So this is a low-fat sour cream, okay? So I haven't gone for the big bad boy, I've gone for the low one. You could use yogurt if you want to. That's enough. A tiny amount, just to sort of coat it, just to give it a nice sort of creaminess to it, but still quite sort of sharp. So the acidity is still there. I mean, it's to all intents and purposes, it's almost a coleslaw, really. But I'm not a massive fan of mayonnaise in my slaws and things. So I've gone for a sour cream. Nice 0% fat-free Greek yogurt would work equally as well if you can't get low-fat sour cream, or if you just want to use the normal, that's fine too. Okay, so let's put that to one side. Time to look at this salmon. It smells good, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Right, I've got silicone fish slice so I can get underneath it. And actually, if I look, because it's a non-stick pan, it moves. It's released itself. So all we need to do now is just turn over, and look how those spices have helped it darken. And we've got a really intense crust to that salmon. And then it's just gonna like take maybe 2 minutes now, 3 minutes max to cook. It's almost cooked all the way through on one side before we then turn it over. Right, the salmon has had 2 or 3 minutes on the other side, and you can see it is just going to be cooked. Don't be afraid of it. The residual heat will finish that off. And what I'm going to do is adjust that cooking oil. I'm just going to pour that on top because that's going to be lovely. It's full of flavour. It's got the natural oils from the fish as well. It's going to be really good. We've got our tacos. I've warmed these up in the oven just a little, not a lot. They don't need to be screaming hot, just a touch. and then just take some of your salmon. I like to serve this at the table and let everybody just kind of tuck in. And then just grab some, there we go, pop that on there. Just use the back of your spoon and just kind of press it down like that. And I'm not going to teach you how to serve this, but this is the way I like it. And I've thought about this a lot. Lemon juice first. So that hits the salmon. So you've got the richness, and then our slaw on top of that. Emily's going for this, aren't you? Yeah. So we may well have to do another one for the photograph, because I have a feeling Emily's going to eat this one. Okay. And then I've got a little bit of fresh greenery. You could pop some green onions, some spring onions on there. But there you go. That is how to make the most beautiful blackened Cajun-style salmon taco with celeriac slaw. Now, thank you very much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed it. I hope you cook this recipe. Scan the QR code in the bottom, go to the website, get the recipe, and make this amazing dish, or make the pesto pasta that I made before. But thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you next time.